Medidata Patient Cloud is Medidata's solution to empower patients with technology. And we think that in every clinical trial, this is possible. And in fact, patients are asking for it to have their voices heard. And in the world of virtual research, sort of the coming tide of new technology to support this new paradigm shift, if you believe that data captured from sites, actual clinical sites, decreases over time, and you believe that data captured from patients directly increases over time, then the Medidata Patient Cloud is what helps you get there. We have a number of solutions that are in the hands of patients, electronic clinical outcome assessments tools for collection of ePro questionnaires. We have electronic informed consent to properly educate and capture consent in the clinic or at home. We have dealing with sensors, different wearables, to collect new feeds of data, direct data capture, objective data from the patient's body. And all of this gets put into the Medidata Clinical Cloud to just add new different streams of data to the clinical trial process. We make it easy, we make it simple. The technology itself does more of the heavy lifting. Well, electronic clinical outcome assessments, the ECOA type category, has been around for some time. I mean, 15, 20 years now. And Medidata comes to the table with about 6 years experience now in building new technology in new ways to fundamentally change how this type of technology is not only implemented in clinical trials, but used. I think we simplify the process quite a bit by having a unified platform approach, as opposed to having a heavy services-based approach. Everything we do is configurable, not customized. We are building libraries of questionnaires that are truly reusable to shrink study timelines. We're set up for BYOD, or bring your own device, from the very beginning. We also have the ability to provision devices for a clinical trial patient population across the world that may not have their own smartphone. And as we have more clinical trials and drugs going through development, we see that the way to get to the world of BYOD, we think it improves compliance by the number of studies that have been done by many in the industry. But that has to be planned for early in phase 2 of clinical trials for the regulators to approve it with the amount of evidence that says you're not biasing anybody. And so the technology that we have supports this, allows the barrier to entry to just shrink down, to allow you to do this type of implementation. All of the data that comes in through the Medidata Patient Cloud, through our ECOA tools, is directly, lands in Rave. Our ECOA is Rave. There is no integration. It's the same system. And so when I think about Rave, or the Rave Clinical Data Capture platform for clinical trials, this is the way it should be. It's simple. There's no disparate systems. Data management and IT folks have huge benefits of issues that just disappear as a result of taking a platform approach. So what we're doing differently is we've scaled the product quite a bit over the past 3 years specifically to come up to some of the more complex studies that are capturing primary and secondary endpoints. Medidata is firmly in the business of ECOA and capturing data from patients all over the world. So Medidata has been pioneering some of the work in mobile health across the clinical trial landscape. We were one of the first to do a number of studies. We sponsored our own study with a number of wearable sensors and trying to do research on what does this mean for clinical trials. We believe capturing objective data from a patient, whether it's a wearable on their wrist, a patch on their chest, something that's in addition to a subjective data report from a survey, a quality of life instrument, that putting those two things together helps to create a different picture of what a patient is experiencing in a clinical trial, moving toward healthy, or that change in sick to healthy. We're tracking those types of things. What I'm seeing now, especially in the past 3 years, is that a number of life sciences leaders, our peers, pharma companies, have been doing a lot of these pilot studies for the past 3 to 5 years. They're past pilot stage. And what's happening is you're finding digital biomarker development groups within pharma companies that are now starting to hand over data, like research data of studies that they've done feasibility on, to say this particular wearable device with this type of data, with this type of algorithm, in this therapeutic indication with this drug, like their drug, gives you this new endpoint. I don't think it'll ever replace the collection of us, like, how do you feel? But it certainly adds a context to what's happening. And we're seeing digital biomarker development vastly increasing. And so we're taking the next step to, it's not just pilots, it's not just playing with fun toys. It actually is truly helping science. And the science is working. And we're seeing a path toward a mobile health world where this will become more commonplace in clinical trials. As the devices get better, as the integrations get easier, Medidata has been ingesting this data for 3 to 5 years already. So we're ready for the coming deluge of data. As soon as you start adding on artificial intelligence and machine learning to that type of data, now we start changing things. And this also enables more of the virtual trials that I said earlier. It's just more of this voice from different places on the patient's body that adds to the value of a therapeutic treatment.